Muy buena gente, ¿cómo les baila en esta montaña rusa llamada vida? ¿Todo bien? ¿Todo tranqui? Y hoy arrancamos por fin el libro 3 de los pilares de la tierra. Bueno gente, quería darles una pequeña explicación antes de continuar. Sepan disculparme, en estos días no pude grabar porque estaba con mi cabeza en otras cosas y justo me agarró con que me dio un resfriado, entonces entre que me dolía la garganta y me dolía la cabeza, como que no daba para hacer varias cosas a la vez. Pero ya ahora me estoy sintiendo mejor, así que ya estoy mejor, se podría decir. Así que no va a haber problemas en hacer los videos, así que espero que sigan sintonizando el canal. Ahora continuamos con el video. La parte final de la historia, ya la final de esta trilogía. Así que espero su apoyo y a ver qué nos deparan la historia con todo lo que quedó del libro 2, el final. Si no lo vieron, vayan a verlo. Y si no, lo voy a estar poniendo arriba. Sin nada más que decir por ahora, vayamos con la historia. ¡Pup!
The White Ship. She was one of the fastest vessels that was ever built.
No.
The man who should be king of the English now, the son of King Henry, was on board when she sailed off. And with the prince there were 140 knights and many nobles, all on their way from Normandy to England. They say the ship hit the rocks, and then a fire broke out. Even before the White Ship had departed, the prince and his men had begun to drink and get violent. Monks that were meant to bless the voyage were then forced to disembark. Some say the ship had been cursed. The king's son and many of his family were pulled down into the Black Sea that night.
Ok. Empezamos fuerte, ¿eh? 1142. Ah, estamos en el barco en el que se fue Aliena.
You're forgetting one important detail. Not only these monks, but also Stephen of Blois, the king's nephew, left the ship before it embarked. They say he got ill.
That old rumor.
The same Stephen who calls himself the king of the English now.
What? That cannot be a coincidence.
Yes, it can be. Of course he's
Yo.
king now. He survived. He is the king's nephew.
What do you think, my lord?
I think Stephen is a clever man. Clever enough to have his whole family perish. But why he would want to rule that god-forsaken rock, I will never understand.
What makes you say that? I love my country.
Then why are you leaving?
Well, because I want to see something new.
I'll tell you what you're going to see. A proper country, where people know how to behave.
Puede ser.
What about you? Why are you leaving?
Estamos buscando a alguien.
I'm looking for someone.
For who? I guess I should stay out of other people's business. Forgive me.
You English do talk a lot, don't you?
I just don't know how to feel about leaving my country for the first time. I mean, how should anyone
Ah,
feel?
buena pregunta. Ilusión, quizás.
Excited?
I don't know. Maybe I'm just running away.
You should all get some rest. It will not be long now till we reach Cherbourg.
Thank the Lord, I can't wait to be back.
Ah, ok, señor. Tenemos una intro, a ver. Ah, la misma que de antes. Si hay algo nuevo lo dejo, si no... Rapidito. Cargue, mijo, cargue. Libro 3. El ojo de la tormenta. Capítulo 15. La travesía. Cherburgo, Normandía.
In the late summer of 1142, I had left my home country, England, for good.
Sí.
My old life lay in shambles, as did my former home of Kingsbridge. Having failed both my friends and family, I had set out to find my baby's father, the man I still loved with all my heart, Jack Jackson. And so early one morning in July, I finally arrived on the shores of Normandy. With nothing on me but a pouch of coin and a young, curious face yet unnamed, who was just as unfamiliar to this new world as was I.
A ver. Vayamos a examinar. ¡Bup! Y nos dice... A ver. El hundimiento del barco blanco 1120. El barco blanco fue uno de los navíos más rápidos de la época. Estaba comandado por el hijo del capitán del Mora, el buque en el que Guillermo el Conquistador viajó desde Normandía hasta Inglaterra en la invasión de 1166. Al igual que su padre, el capitán del barco blanco se ofreció gustoso a transportar a numerosos miembros de la familia real en sus travesías desde Normandía a Inglaterra para visitar al rey. Tristemente, falleció junto al resto de las almas a bordo del barco aquella fatídica noche en la que la embarcación prendió fuego tras embestir una roca. El choque acabó por hundir al barco en las profundidades marinas, y con él buena parte de los herederos del rey. Esteban de Blois debía viajar también a bordo del buque, pero cuentan que enfermó antes de zarpar, sospechoso, lo que lo llevó a abandonar el barco a última hora. Aquella noche de noviembre, al tiempo en el que barco blanco se hundía, Esteban se convirtió en el último heredero varón de la corona inglesa. Por ello, algunos lo consideran responsable del hundimiento. Con todas las de la ley. A ver. Tenemos el niño. No pienso darle un nombre al bebé hasta que encuentre a Jack. Durísimo. Tenemos el libro de amores. Encontrar a Jack algún día, en algún lugar. Los detectives investigarán. Cogí el primer barco de la mañana. Tenía que marcharme cuanto antes. Ok. Y le preguntamos al albañil a ver si... Vale, él acaba de llegar igual que nosotros, ¿no?
You're still here.
¿Sigues aquí?
Oh, it's
Eres
you.
tú.
I'm just trying to get my feet used to good solid ground again. The last bit of our voyage wasn't exactly my pint of ale.
I'm looking for someone. A red-haired mason called Jack Jackson. He came to France about a year ago or so.
A fellow mason, great. Unfortunately, I wouldn't know a thing. After all, I just arrived here with you.
I know, but should you meet someone like that on your journey, tell him Aliena of Shiring is looking for him.
All right. Jack Jackson. I'll keep an eye out for you.
Thank you.
A ver, saquémosle conversación. A ver qué podemos conseguir.
That hammer you're carrying, do you happen to be a mason?
Actually, I am. You have a keen eye, mistress.
Medio raro.
I guess I just know a mason when I see one.
To be honest, I haven't been one long. Just finished my apprenticeship in Salisbury. Before that, I used to shear sheep with my parents, but I guess that wasn't really for me. Father still hates me for leaving, though.
A ver.
What will you do to find work here as a mason?
Don't know. That's for me to find out. All I heard was that the wages are better over here.
So you'll just travel from town to town and look for employment?
Right. And I was starting to say,
Lesay.
a fellow mason told me about the abbey there. He said these Normans build their churches quite differently than we do back home. I need to see that with my own eyes. Maybe learn a thing or two.
Ahí tenemos un posible lugar para empezar. El tipo no sabía nada, pero sacamos un lugar. Igual si por ahí se encuentra con Jack antes que nosotros, por ahí nos lo cruzamos en algún lugar. Quizás Jack fue a ver la abadía de Lesay. Dios mío. A ver.
Do many masons
Son
go to
muchos los que
Lesay?
pueden. Lesay.
Ah, dunno. It's really just a tiny town. The mason who told me just happened to do some repairs there once. It's likely he told others as well.
Interesante. Tiremos todas las
I left
conversaciones.
my old life as well.
Scary, isn't it? To start off fresh and all that.
Well, you definitely sound more excited than scared.
Oh, I am excited. Wouldn't anyone be?
I don't know. Maybe.
Ah, listo. Un placer conocerte, albañil sin nombre.
Have a safe journey.
Oh, thank you. You too.
Rastrear la ruta de Jack hacia Europa continental. Perfecto. El puerto de Cherburgo. Tenemos el... ¿Sabemos cómo llegar? ¿Vos sabés cómo llegar?
I really should stay away from boats. I'm still all to and fro on the inside.
Do many masons go to Lesay?
Ah, dunno. The mason who it's likely he...
No, era la misma conversación. Listo. Placer conocerte. A ver, ¿hay algo más que podamos hacer? Cherburgo, el castillo, está ok. Y no veo nada más, así que vámonos. Ah, mini mercadito. Por un momento creí, pero no es él, obviamente. Hay un puesto. Puede ser. Puesto. Podemos hablar con él a ver si sabe. A ver, venga. Vamos a hablar con él a ver si sabe algo.
Good day. I am looking for someone. A traveler who came through here last summer.
Uf.
Oh, hush now. I need to talk to this man.
Looks young.
He was born at the beginning of summer.
What's his name?
I haven't given him one yet.
You should. He needs to know who he is. Makes growing up a lot easier. You said you're looking for someone.
No, aliena, no caigas.
I'm looking for the boy's father.
From the look of your baby, I reckon his father has red hair like me, right? Well, I don't know every redhead around these parts. There are quite a few of us. Most of my family here in Cherbourg is ginger.
Oh, his name is Jack Jackson, and he is a mason.
No, sorry, I haven't seen him. And I come here every day. Maybe Amay saw him. She helps the sailors get their cargo to the nearby towns. Carries travelers, too.
I'll ask her. Well, thank you.
Interesante. A ver, él sabe algo del pueblo.
What's the way to Lesay?
Well, that's quite far. Ask Amay to take you there by coach.
Ok. Supongo que la de la carreta esta es Ame. A ver. Vamos a hablar con ella.
Hey, you. That's quite a bundle you got there. Where are you headed?
Preguntemos primero por el albañil a ver si se llevó alguno y después le preguntamos el camino a Leslie. Lesay.
Have you seen a red-haired mason? He must have landed here sometime late last summer.
Another ginger in Normandy? I wouldn't have noticed, even if he was carrying a hammer instead of a fishing rod. Maybe you should ask someone in Barfleur. That's where all the travellers come through, the pilgrims and kings.
Barfleur.
They're a lot rarely lands in Cherbourg with the fortress passing back and forth between Stephen of Blois and Geoffrey of Anjou. Why you even came to Cherbourg in the first place baffles me.
It was the earliest ship I could get.
You must be in some hurry, madam.
Bastante.
Let's just say I needed to get away before I changed my mind.
Fine with me. Who am I to judge?
Ok. Otro lugar a donde ir. La derrota.
Do you know the road to Lessay?
Been there, seen it. But I hope you're not planning to go there on foot. Tell you what, you give me some coins and I'll treat you to me wagon. You can even change your destination once we're on the road. What'd you say?
¿Qué otras rutas hay?
What other routes are there besides going through Barfleur?
Oh, I don't know, really. You need to ask the locals about that. But Barfleur sounds like a good place to start. Shake my hand and I'll take you there.
A ver.
Travelling by coach is a lot less strenuous than walking.
Me lo creo.
Your little worm deserves some warmth and a rocking carriage.
Ok. A ver, preguntémosle a los lugareños. Barfleur. A los del puesto este.
No, maybe I should just get going.
¿No querés preguntarle a nadie?
No, maybe I should...
¿Y el que no es Jack, te parece está bien también preguntarle? ¿A ese sí? Ay, Dios.
Apart from Barfleur, what are the ports do people commonly use to get into
Buena
France?
pregunta.
Apart from Barfleur? Well, there's Harfleur. Sometimes people even go through Honfleur, which is close by. You could ask Amé to take you.
I might. Thank you for your help. I'm afraid I can't help it. You really are quite like him.
Maybe I should become a mason then. Would definitely pay more than being a fisherman. Have a safe journey.
Ay, otro lugar. Los puertos de Normandía. Ya tenemos todos los puertos. Ahora solo vamos a tener que elegir uno y después ver si tenemos suerte. A ver, dice. Los puertos de Normandía. Barfleur es uno de los principales puertos del país, además de un lugar clave en la industria naviera normanda. Se trata del puerto predilecto de gobernantes y realeza que suelen zarpar de su embarcadero en sus travesías rumbo a Inglaterra. Harfleur es otro enclave portuario relevante, antiguo puerto de los Caletos. En tiempos del Imperio Romano, una calzada unía Harfleur directamente con Troya. Ah, mira vos. No muy lejos de Harfleur se halla otro pequeño puerto en la localidad de Honfleur. El pueblo pesquero de Cherburgo es ahora el epicentro del conflicto político entre Esteban de Inglaterra y Geofredo de Anjou, el esposo normando de la emperatriz Maud. Ah, mira vos. Ambos contendientes se disputan la preciada plaza en su intento por ganar la interminable contienda. Ok. Le preguntamos al albañil a ver si sabe algo.
He's only just arrived too. I should ask locals.
Ah, ahora sí le querés preguntar a los lugareños.
No, maybe I should just get going.
¿Qué lugareño le querés preguntar, mi hija? Solo a la carreta le puedes preguntar. Porque si no, el del barco de acá no creo que... A ver, este...
No, maybe I should just get going.
Ay, bueno. Turururum.
Changed your mind, madam? You know, I reserved a cozy spot just for you.
No hay mucho que podamos hacer. Vayamos.
All right. Take me out of town.
All right. Where do you need to
Buena
be?
pregunta. Muy buena pregunta. Bafleur, Harfleur, Lesey. Y buena pregunta. Entre Bafleur, principal puerto de Francia. Empecemos con la abadía.
Lesey was tiny, but as it turned out, worth the trip. In the small abbey church of the Trinity, I met a monk who claimed to have talked to a man fitting Jack's description. He'd been fascinated by the abbey's rib vaulting and had asked the monks countless questions about the place's construction. The monk apologized that he couldn't tell me where Jack had traveled next, but I didn't mind.
Oh, Lesey era una aldea diminuta, pero mereció la pena el viaje. En la pequeña iglesia de su abadía conocí a un monje que decía haber hablado con alguien que encajaba con la descripción de Jack. El hombre estaba fascinado con las bóvedas de la abadía y había preguntado toda clase de datos sobre la construcción del edificio. El monje se disculpó por no saber a dónde se había dirigido Jack después, pero no me importó.
I lay down to sleep on the floor of the Abbey guest house and, for the first time in almost a year, I felt relief. As I drifted into sleep, I hugged our baby tight and whispered into his tiny pink ear, "We're going to find your daddy."
Aquella noche dormí en el suelo de la casa de huéspedes de la abadía y, por primera vez en casi un año, sentí alivio. Al notar que me invadía el sueño, abracé con fuerza a mi pequeño y le susurré al oído: "Vamos a encontrar a tu papá". Ah, mira tú por dónde. Sí, los peregrinos al monte San Miguel.
My father had once told me tales of the Mont Saint-Michel. Long ago, the Archangel Michael had urged Hubert of Avranches to build an abbey on a lonely rock on the ocean by burning a hole into his head. They say one can go and see his penetrated skull on display in the church of his hometown.
Mi padre me había contado historias del monte San Michael. Decía que mucho tiempo atrás el arcángel Miguel había urgido a Auberto de Avranches a construir una abadía sobre una solitaria roca en el mar. Para convencerlo, hubo que hacerle un agujero en la cabeza. Dicen que puede verse su calavera horadada en la iglesia de su pueblo natal. No voy a decir nada.
It was a windy day when I arrived, and the place was crowded with pilgrims and jongleurs. I remembered Jack's fascination with these tellers of stories. I spoke to one who was just taking a break. As it happened, he had indeed met Jack, although not in Mont Saint-Michel, but on a road heading east from there.
Mira tú por dónde. El día que llegué soplaba el viento con fuerza. Aquel lugar estaba atestado de peregrinos y juglares. Recordé entonces la fascinación que sentía Jack por aquellos cuentacuentos. Hablé con uno durante un descanso de su actuación y dio la casualidad de que había conocido a Jack, pero no en el monte de St. Michael, sino en un camino que partía hacia el este.
Apparently, Jack had been hopelessly tracking jongleur who might have known his father, Jack Sherberg. but as he'd been gradually running out of money, he'd intended to look for work in Le Mans or Tours. That was about 6 months ago. I was catching up.
Al parecer, Jack había emprendido una búsqueda de juglares que hubiesen conocido a su padre, Jack Sherbrooke. Pero tras quedarse sin dinero, había pensado buscar trabajo en Le Mans o Tours. De eso hacía ya 6 meses. Poco a poco iba siguiéndole la pista. Le Mans o Tours. A ver. Le Mans. Hagamos una escala en Le Mans, que está más cerca.
Going to Le Mans reminded me of all the trouble I'd left behind in England. 30 years ago, Le Mans had been conquered by the Plantagenet Geoffrey of Anjou, Maud's husband. And although they'd held it ever since, other noble families kept on pulling at the city, like Maud and Stephen tearing at England.
Ok. El viaje a Le Mans me recordó todos los problemas que había dejado atrás en Inglaterra. Hacía 30 años, en la ciudad, había sido tomada por Geoffredo de Anjou, el marido de Maud, y miembro de la casa de Plantagenet. Todo francés, ¿no? Y aunque había logrado mantenerla desde entonces, eran muchas las familias nobles que pretendían conquistarla. Esta tensión permanente me recordaba al conflicto entre Esteban y Maud por la corona de Inglaterra.
There was no sign of Jack, but I got news of a new kind of cathedral being built in Saint-Denis, just north of Paris. It was possible that Jack had gone there to learn from the craftsmen. That was, if he hadn't travelled further south, looking for work in one of the many churches in Tours, the hometown of Saint-Martin.
No supe nada de Jack, pero llegó a mis oídos un dato que podría ser relevante: la construcción de un nuevo estilo de catedral en Saint-Denis, al norte de París. Era posible que Jack hubiese viajado hasta allí para aprender de los artesanos encargados de la obra, suponiendo que no hubiese viajado hacia el sur en busca de trabajo en una de las muchas iglesias de Tours, ciudad natal de San Martín. O sea, me está diciendo que vaya a... Mira ese camino. ¿Cuántos días son esos? Estoy seguro de que Jack va a ir apuntando a lo mejor. No sé. Me la juego.
North of Paris, I visited the construction of the great cathedral of Saint-Denis. It was far from finished, but already I could feel its magnificence. It was like nothing I'd ever seen before.
Creo que tendría que haber ido abajo primero. Puede ser que Jack se haya quedado primero sin plata, trabajase y después viniese acá. Así que por ahí estamos yendo antes que él. Al norte de París tuve la ocasión de visitar la obra de la gran catedral de Saint-Denis, o el Saint-Denis. Todavía quedaba mucho por hacer, pero su majestuosidad era más que evidente. Jamás había visto nada igual.
I assumed if Jack had come near Paris, he would have ended up here. Unfortunately, I was wrong. No one among the army of masons raising the cathedral of Saint-Denis had known him. My stomach churned when I realized that my strenuous walk to Paris had been for naught.
Supuse que, de haber pasado cerca de París, Jack sin duda habría acudido a verla. Lamentablemente me equivocaba. Ninguno de los albañiles que trabajaban en la obra de Saint-Denis sabía nada de él. Sentí verdaderas náuseas al darme cuenta de que aquella larga travesía a pie había sido en balde. Y me queda la vuelta. Mirá ese viaje, mirá ese choclo. Y ahí, tras 2 meses de viaje, 2 meses, Tours, región central de Francia. Oh, mira esos planos. Ulala, pregunta por Jack a los lugareños. Y acá solamente tenemos a uno. Igual que Kingsbridge. Aunque los planos son muy diferentes. No suelen ser redondos, sí, pero... A ver.
I should talk to him first.
Está bien, está bien. Hablemos con él primero. A ver qué dice.
Good day. Are you the master builder?
What is it?
I'm looking for a mason who may have passed through here. An Englishman with carroty hair. He calls himself Jack Jackson.
A redhead?
Yes. Did you see him? He might have asked for work here.
No, I'm not looking for new masons. We're just doing repairs.
Ah, but was he here?
No, never seen him. Now, stand back, woman. Something could fall on your baby's head.
Algo me dice que está
Are
mintiendo.
there other construction sites around Tours?
Well, yes. It's a big town.
And where would an outsider most likely find a job?
Dunno. Ask around.
Hijo de puta. Vayamos tranquilos.
May I talk to your workers?
No, they're busy. And I can assure you they have nothing to say on that matter.
Perhaps I'll talk to them once they've finished for the day.
It would be a waste of time.
Sospechoso.
You hesitated when I mentioned a redhead. Are you sure you haven't seen him?
Yes, I am sure. All right, he was here.
Ah,
Was working for me. But I had to throw him out after 2 or 3 days.
Why?
Because he was all want. Let me redesign the roof. Let me make the nave lighter. All pretty ideas, but he never shut up long enough to do the work he was supposed to do.
ah.
Shit, that man was almost as needy as my son when he was still a brat.
He does know a lot about his craft.
Well, I know masons like him. They grow up gifted, but without a mote of discipline in their guts. Can't work with someone like that.
Do you know where he went next?
No idea. Maybe to Limoges or Angoulême. Maybe even to La Rochelle.
Ah.
Seemed to have plans for every cathedral on God's green earth, but none for himself.
I understand. I'll leave you to it then.
Bon voyage.
Ay, Dios mío. La Rochelle, una importante ciudad portuaria, otro lugar con otra catedral, Angulema, ahí está, y un floreciente núcleo artístico. Vamos a Limoges, que por ser así medio nuevito, por ahí le dan la chance de hacer sus cosas. Y si no, sería donde está la catedral, y si no, al puerto. Vamos acá.
We had just left Tours when I suddenly felt dizzy. I stopped and made rest, trying to catch my breath, then lost my breakfast in a ditch at the side of the road.
Tranquila, ¿eh? No me asustes, por favor. Acabamos de abandonar Tours cuando me sentí mareada de pronto. Dios mío. Paré para descansar y recuperé el aliento. Acto seguido, dejé el desayuno en una cuneta.
To my horror, our baby too had grown pale, his breath shallow like that of an old man. I tried not to panic, but the next inn was a long distance away and we couldn't stay on the road where it was wet and cold.
Horrorizada, comprobé que el bebé también estaba pálido. Su respiración era tan débil como la de un anciano. Intenté no perder la calma, pero la posada más próxima quedaba a cierta distancia y no podíamos permitirnos dormir a la intemperie. O volvemos a descansar. Volvamos a descansar.
Back in Tor, the fever got worse. I remember people carrying me into a room, laying me on a bed. I tried to feed my baby, but after that everything turned into a blur.
No me la contés. De vuelta a Tors, la fiebre se agravó. Recuerdo que varias personas me llevaron en brazos y me dejaron tumbada sobre una cama. Intenté dar de comer a mi bebé y después todo se tornó oscuro.
When I awoke, Jack was standing next to my bed.
Cuando desperté, vi a Jack junto a mi cama. Ya está alucinando.
He scolded me for following him. You know you could go anywhere you want, he whispered. Why be stupid and follow me?
Me riñó por seguir sus pasos. Podrías haber ido a cualquier lugar, susurró. ¿Por qué te has empeñado en seguirme?
I tried to answer, but he just opened the window and jumped out, heading toward ancient Greece, or maybe all the way to Arabia. And in my feverish mind, I followed him.
¡No! Intenté responder, pero saltó por la ventana y partió rumbo a Grecia, o quizás incluso hasta Arabia. Y en mi delirio febril lo seguí. ¿Y el bebé? ¡No! ¿Cómo que estamos al lado de Kingsbridge? No me gusta esto. Ay, Dios mío. Mi niña, ¿estás muy loca? Está todo lejísimo. Esto es un delirio puro. Decime que solamente es un sueño todo esto. Porque es imposible que puedas hacer todo esto sin morirte en el camino.
The further I went, the angrier I got. For years I'd been fighting for my family. I'd committed myself to an oath to my father. I'd built up a business to sustain it and even married a man I despised so I could create a future for the people around me.
Cuanto más se alejaba, más me enfurecía. Llevaba años luchando por mi familia. Me había comprometido a cumplir la promesa a mi padre. Había logrado construir un negocio e incluso me había casado con un hombre que odiaba con tal de darle un futuro a aquellos que me rodeaban.
I'd known nothing but my duty to the men in my life, while the man I was trying to find lived a life of casual irresponsibility. He traveled the world on a whim to learn about mathematics and philosophy, while I had to raise the child he'd fathered.
Durísimo. Me había pasado la vida bajo el yugo de las responsabilidades impuestas por los hombres de mi familia, y ahora el hombre al que buscaba viajaba libre de toda atadura, vagaba sin rumbo fijo para aprender matemáticas y filosofía, mientras yo me veía obligada a criar a su hijo.
When could I ever do anything just for myself? I asked the world as I went on.
¿Cuándo podré hacer algo por mí misma? Pregunté al mundo en mi camino. ¿Qué pasa en Grecia? Solo puedo volver a Kingsbridge. Uy, Dios.
I traveled in a circle all the way to the edge of the world and back, only to return to the place of our failure. With my eyes closed, I listened to the sound of ripping yarn and crumbling walls, and of coaches carrying good people away into a cloud of crimson dust.
Viajé en círculo. Alcancé los confines del mundo y regresé, solo para acabar en el lugar de nuestro fracaso. Con los ojos cerrados, escuché el sonido de la lana desgarrada, de los muros derribados y los carruajes que viajan en una nube carmesí con personas decentes a bordo.
When the last mote had settled, I opened my eyes again and found myself in a dirty little room. An old maid was sitting next to my bed and smiled at me, then handed me my baby.
Cuando la última mota de polvo se hubo asentado, abrí los ojos y me descubrí en una pequeña y sucia estancia. Una vieja criada que permanecía junto a mi cama me sonrió y alargó los brazos entregándome a mi bebé.
Oh, dear God, he still looked so pale.
Dios mío, seguía tan pálido. Darle de comer.
I tried to feed him, but he refused.
Intenté darle de comer, pero se negó.
Oh, please, God, let him live. Don't punish him for my own sins.
Por favor, Señor, sálvale. No le castigues por mis pecados. Por mis pecados.
I gently caressed his head until finally he put his mouth to my breast and drank more and more, becoming greedier with every swallow.
Acaricié su cabeza con dulzura hasta que por fin se amarró a mi pecho y bebió, volviéndose más glotón con cada trago.
We had both been spared. We rested one more day. Then I gathered my things and headed back to the cathedral to thank the Lord for his mercy.
Nos habían perdonado la vida a los dos. Descansamos un día más y recogí mis cosas. Decidí regresar a la catedral para dar las gracias a Dios por su misericordia. Debo dar gracias a Dios por salvar a mi pequeño. Recemos.
This isn't a good place for praying.
A la estatua de la Virgen María.
I thank you, dear Lord.
All right, steady
I
now.
thank you for having spared my child. I thank you for...
Don't let go until it's done.
Cuidado.
But why are you showing mercy on me? I failed everyone I cared about. I failed Jack. I failed my brother. And if I never return, I would also break the oath I had given Father. It's just that I feel like I've never had a life of my own. I've always fought for others. And this may be the very first time that I fight for something that I only want for myself. Maybe I should just go back and help rebuild Kingsbridge.
Sí.
Maybe Jack doesn't even care for me anymore.
No lo sabes hasta que se lo preguntes.
Amen.
Esa estatuilla que está ahí me parece que la hizo Jack.
Huh.
¿Ves? Ella se dio cuenta, yo me di cuenta, todos nos dimos cuenta. La ménsula está.
I've seen one of those before.
It's amazing, isn't it? The man who did that really had it in him.
I agree. He always did.
Oh, you knew Master Jacques.
Yes, but it's been a while since I last saw him.
It's a shame that the Master let him go. In just 1 month, he did so many things.
The Master Builder said he'd fired him after just 3 days.
Did he? Well, maybe that's how he remembers it.
Sí.
The two didn't really see eye to eye, you know? To tell you the truth, everyone thinks that he feared for his own job, having someone like that around. The last thing Jack did was carve that corbel. It was the one thing the Master let him do. Then when he was done, he was asked to leave.
Your master said he had no discipline.
Let me tell you something. Jacques worked very hard on it. He was impatient and had a temper, but you could see that he tried to overcome it. conquering that rock was very important to him.
Oh, I understand that so
Sí.
well. Do you happen to know where he went next?
He wanted to walk the pilgrim trail to Santiago de Compostela.
The Camino? The Way of St. James?
Sí.
He said he might find someone there who knew his father.
Just one more thing. How was he when he left?
Never thought about that. Relieved, I guess. He seemed ready for something new.
Thank you so much for your help.
Think nothing of it. And good luck on your travels. May you find what you are looking
Muchas
for.
gracias, aprendiz. Sos un crack de la vida. Vas a reemplazar a ese pelado de mierda. En un lugar lejano.
Isn't it odd?
¿No te parece extraño?
Just when you stop looking, you come across the most curious of things.
Rashid.
Like these 3 devices that one of my merchants brought back from Baghdad.
Oh no. Is it another one of your Banu Musa toys, Rashid?
They're not toys, Adriel. They're objects of scholarly ingenuity and reflection.
I will let my valued friend from the north do the honors.
Mira quién apareció.
Jack, if you may.
Y con la aparición de Jack, dejamos hasta acá el episodio de hoy.
Let me draw your attention to the magnificent songbird on the table.
No hay problema.
And then
Y así,
to that wondrous donkey next to the
tranquilo,
entrance.
Piniño, dejamos el primer episodio del libro 3. Pasaron bastantes cosas.
Astounding thing of all.
Aliena la está pasando bastante mal. Veremos qué pasa ahora con Jack
That statuette.
cuando se encuentren entre ellos dos.
Precise.
Ya, cállense, vos. Qué molestos que son. Y no tengo mucho más para decir. Como siempre, saben, si les gustó, déjense un like, comenten, compartan, suscríbanse al canal. Porque pueden, porque es gratis. ¿Por qué no? Va, si quieren, ¿no? Y nos vemos en un próximo video que estaremos viendo cuando sale. Porque ahora ando un poquito mejor, pero veremos qué onda. Suerte, cuídense y nos vemos la próxima. Bye bye. Y nos vemos próximamente continuando la historia de los pilares de la tierra. El libro 3. Bye bye.